Hi, what's up, y'all? It's Poppin' It's D. About to react to this vid by Sunny V2. It's titled How One Bad Episode Ruined a Podcaster's Entire Life. Sheesh. So somebody sent me this. They said that it's involving Ethan from H3 Podcast and Bill Burr. I haven't reacted to anything related to Bill Burr in a cool minute. So, yeah, let's see what happened. Let's watch.
It was the 84th episode of the H3 podcast. Host Ethan Klein chose to interview his favorite comedian Bill Burr.
And I was such a big fan of Bill Burr, obviously, who is he's a legend.
But after 54 minutes of talking, Ethan's life had been altered permanently.
That's when I started taking antidepressants after that episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, you'll need to remember a specific date, the 12th of September 2018. It was not only the day when the episode was first posted, but it was also a day when viewers were already annoyed at Ethan for something he'd done prior. You see, just 5 days beforehand on the 7th of September, Ethan used his H3H3 Productions main channel to advertise a game they'd been building, which was especially annoying since they hadn't uploaded anything else over the previous 3 months. We waited 3 months for a 2.5-minute ad. I can't skip the ad for some reason. So disappointing that we wait for 3 months and this is a standalone video. This is something that belongs tagged at the end of a good old H3H3 vid, with the backlash prompting Ethan to respond via Twitter. This therefore established that in the same week as interviewing Bill Burr, Ethan was not only increasingly prone to criticism, but his confidence had also been crushed.
There was a lot going on in my head.
Which was certainly awful timing, as Ethan was set to face his toughest guest so far. Bill Burr had been running his own Monday morning podcast since May of 2007,
Bill Burr is such
meaning
a
he
dick.
had 11 years of podcasting
I can only
experience
imagine.
compared to Ethan's year and a half.
This reminds me, too, I saw a short portion of when Bill Burr was on Theo Von's podcast. I talk about a lot how I watched Theo Von. Well, I just found out about him. Well, I've always heard his name, but I just started watching him like last year. But I came across this video he had with Bill Burr, and it was so awkward because Bill Burr was being such an ass, and Theo is he's different. So Bill Burr was just being like really rude to him, and I feel like he was like kind of putting him down and making him feel stupid. So it was really uncomfortable to watch. I couldn't even finish it. So I can only imagine what he does to Ethan, because he is a dick. But that's just who he is. That's his personality. And if you watch his stand-up, it's very obvious that he's a dick. So I feel like if you have him on your podcast, you kind of got to be prepared for that.
Ethan skipped all the side quests and went straight for the boss.
See,
Ethan was
know.
therefore extremely nervous from the moment the episode started.
I'm so neurotic. I'm nervous. I'm nervous right now.
Okay.
Very nervous.
Oh, which one was
I
that?
don't think
But
that's gonna help.
how do you, was there ever, no, trust me, I'm on edge.
Only made worse given Ethan and his wife were both massive fans of Bill Burr's show.
Like, we were listening to his podcast every day during that time.
Ethan therefore also began the
So you should
episode
know
with a
how he
compliment,
is.
although there was a reason this made Bill somewhat uncomfortable. In a Hollywood Reporter interview, it was stated, even a compliment can potentially rub Burr the wrong way. As Bill explained, if someone was really nice, I would just be like, get away from me. If someone was an asshole, it's like, oh, that seems familiar. For whatever reason, I don't like being complimented, which killed the episode from the second the podcast started.
Ethan came into this interview too much as a fan, as a listener of
Fanboy,
Bill's
yeah.
podcast, and Bill came into this podcast with an attitude of, I don't know who you are, I don't give a shit.
As mentioned, it quickly became obvious that Bill didn't want to be there, which, as highlighted by Red Bar, is the perfect mixture for a terrible show.
Bill Burr seems to be in a nasty little mood, and that could ruin the
Yes, he
whole
is.
interview. Look how miserable he is.
Whether or not Bill was in a bad mood would be up for debate later, although as the interview continued, something became obvious. Bill Burr wasn't going to blindly agree with everything Ethan said, and would always give his honest opinion, even if it hindered the course of the episode.
He's not being a good interviewee. You can be gracious, and maybe the question.
The fact that he said he listened to this nigga's podcast every day and he didn't know this is kind of odd to me personally. I don't even keep up with Bill Burr that often, and I know that he's an ass, and I know that he's not gonna be a good sport just for your benefit. Like, that's not the vibe he gives off literally at all. And when I tell you I have not watched anything Bill Burr related in so long, but even I know that. So how do you not know this as a fan, as a big fan? I'm confused.
Not perfect, but you can, accommodate it with like a good answer and bring it back to a good place. He doesn't like to do that at all.
Ethan got his first taste of this when suggesting the following point.
Bullying's almost important in a way, isn't it? Like, you gotta allow kids to give each other shit.
I don't think as a parent you ever allow it.
Sure.
Although it became more obvious 10 minutes later when the two started talking about the dog whisperer.
Does he even know anything? I also wonder, does he just pretend like he knows?
Well, I think the guy knows what he's doing.
Okay.
I mean, he got a TV show. You're a really cynical guy, man.
I thought you were down.
That is a lot. That is a lot for me to say that.
I thought
you're
you
like
were
out
down,
cynical
but
and me.
admittedly, I'm cynical even to Bill Burr.
Given the podcast was being streamed in real time, viewers gave their live
maybe
reactions
not
in a
even.
Reddit thread reading, "Am I the only one who's finding this podcast super awkward? What is wrong with Ethan? He's not laughing at any of Bill's jokes, and it's like
He
he's
seems
lost all
uncomfortable
conversational
and, like,
skills," prompting a
anxious.
top comment reading, "Yeah, there's no chemistry between Bill and Ethan." However, things only got worse from here, as after
how it was
54
with him
minutes of
and Theo.
talking, the following
No chemistry.
exchange occurred.
It seems like you're in love with your daughter, hearing you talk about her on the podcast.
Jesus Christ. Well, you're pretty perceptive. It's like you care about
Well,
your own child.
listen, more than that, okay? Because again, you're this character. You gush over your daughter. Not everyone gushes. Did your dad gush over you?
My dad actually at work did. And he also had a zillion kids, so I mean, yeah.
Really? How many siblings do you have?
I don't know, dude. The internet's too fucking weird to give out all that information.
Oh, you don't even want to say how many because you're afraid that it will
Yeah, by all means,
compromise
keep
your
talking
privacy.
about it. Is there any way you can cut this out? I'm honest, dude. Like,
Seriously?
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, there's fucking lunatics out there.
Okay.
Well,
Off the air, I'll cut it.
alright.
Jeez.
That
I'm
was
almost
so.
surprised he is. Jeez.
Well,
There's
you can
actually-
mention the
There's
amount.
absolutely crazy people out there.
No. Alright.
This
I
is
don't know why
awkward.
that got so flat.
With Bill being direct and private, and Ethan being curious and open, the conversation failed to flow for a pretty obvious reason.
You could not have picked two totally different people to get together and have an interview.
This could be observed when Ethan doubled
He
down
also
on the
like he respects
compliments.
Ethan
The
at all.
greatest Bill Burr.
Oh,
I do mean that, by the way. I know it makes you uncomfortable.
It
but-
does.
Although there
So
was
why
one
say
final
it?
question that put the podcast in a casket. 12 years beforehand in 2006, Bill Burr had performed a stand-up set in Philadelphia where he basically roasted the
Alright,
audience
yes.
to their face, and in response he was booed by everyone. The set has since been considered legendary given Bill would even go there. However, when Ethan brought it up on their episode, Bill Burr wasn't looking to talk about it.
He
It was
talked about
when you
so many
were
times.
getting booed by thousands
God,
of
I
people
was
in
hoping
Philly.
you were. I was like, when you said my favorite
You don't-
YouTube video, I was like, oh God, not the Philly thing again. Now I hate you.
Oh no.
I love it. What can I do? I love that.
I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. Okay, do it.
But do
So
you?
what was
but,
that
no.
three ahead?
No, I'm not gonna ask you.
Were bullied. You've been moved before?
You've talked about this a lot. I didn't realize.
No, but go ahead. Let's
now,
do it.
well,
let's
now
do it.
I frankly,
I like that.
I like to
making
skip it.
I like making you uncomfortable.
Well,
You
what
do
am I
this
supposed
thing.
to? Well, what am I? Yeah, right.
You know, you can.
And now, what do you want me to be? Well, what was going through your head, Bill, when you're getting booed by all those people?
I don't know.
Yet the two completed the episode by insisting that things had gone well.
I almost made it through. Don't make an ass of myself. I got so close.
What are you talking about? I had a great time.
Yeah, I feel like Bill Burr.
I
He
really-
don't.
I hope you did. I'm worried about you.
I did. I'm playing it up. I'm playing it up.
The audience reaction, however, couldn't have been more negative. Longtime H3H3 fan, but I'm really struggling staying with the podcast. We all knew that Ethan wasn't a great podcast partner / interviewer, but today it's just horrible. Bill's realness really
Are they mad at
contrasts
Ethan?
Ethan's wacky performance, which is furthered by a meme reading who would win. Stand-up comedian, actor, voice artist, writer, musician, producer and social critic, industry veteran at 25 plus years, or a comedian who dresses up in costumes and says the memes. In a different post, you / SkyKid200 highlighted, "You know you messed up when you make Bill Burr cringe," and in the one and only post questioning, "Am I the only one around here who didn't think the interview with Bill Burr was bad?" the top comment simply stated yes. On the video itself, KG stated, "This just made me like Bill more than I already did," although there were others who thought Bill was the one who messed up the interview.
What I would say to Bill Burr is get a grip. There's going to be 1 million people watching this. If you don't want to do it, don't come. Don't be a crank. There's no room for
That's what
cranks.
he
in
is,
these
though.
interviews.
He's
The
so
unpopular
grumpy.
opinion was that Bill Burr was the douche, as he was purposely trying to be superior to Ethan the entire time. And the sibling shit, that was a dumbass overreaction by Bill. Bill, I know how many siblings Bill Burr has. Let's use this info to find him somehow. Bill came off as that baby boomer kind of guy who doesn't quite get what you are saying, and to compensate tries to make you feel uncomfortable. This was also argued by another user who wrote, I'm curious, if I know the amount of siblings of a person, what would that kind of information ever benefit me, even if I was someone who would have vicious thoughts in their head? Ridiculously overreacted, although as was highlighted in the comments, Bill certainly has the right to his own privacy. Who was at fault wasn't important anyway. All that mattered was the interview went so poorly, Ethan cancelled all of his following podcast guests.
I was cancelling episodes after that.
And instead hosted 7 weeks worth of episodes with just him and his wife, one of which addressing how the show had become hated.
It feels like nobody likes this podcast and everybody wants it to go away, but somebody likes it. I mean, people watch it.
Yeah, they probably hate watching you though.
I mean, this person likes it.
This was addressed in detail only 2 videos later, in which Ethan didn't reference the Bill Burr episode, but explained that something had derailed his life.
About 2-3 months ago is when I kind of hit rock bottom, and I was just so miserable that I was so tired. I no longer wanted to be myself.
As a result of this unspecified event, Ethan had begun using antidepressants.
So I had this bottle of antidepressants in my bedside, and I said, after dealing with this and hitting rock bottom, I started taking it.
Which was the only alternative to ditching the podcast completely.
I have thought about quitting the podcast, honestly.
A lot.
Yeah. Because it's been such a pain. It's been so painful at times.
Ethan instead doubled down on the broadcasting by discussing
I think he's more so referring to the comments. Bro, don't read the comments. Make your content and keep it pushing. But when you're constantly looking at things that people are saying, like, you're in this constant state of, like, anxiety because people are critiquing everything. Like, it's going to depress you. I don't know why he even fed into it. I mean, that was an uncomfortable interview for sure, but to get on antidepressants after that is crazy. I don't know.
Bill Burr experience with the most unlikely of people, Theo Von. You see, Theo had his own disaster podcast with Bill, where Bill also acted harshly towards Theo for asking fairly innocent questions.
Do you keep a weapon on yours or no?
On what?
In your, I don't know if you have a helicopter, if you rent a helicopter.
I don't really have to answer that. He knows goddamn well I don't have a weapon. Why are you doing this?
You don't? You don't have a gun? I don't think it's obtuse really to think you might have a weapon in there with you. Think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay, all right.
You think about it.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Fine.
Theo and Ethan therefore met to discuss what had happened, where Ethan confirmed his rock bottom moment was because of the Bill Burr episode.
I went into therapy after that episode. I'm not even being kidding. I mean, I was having a depressive episode for a long time.
Right.
And I had these antidepressants next to my bed. And after that episode with Bill Burr, I came home and that's when I started taking antidepressants and I went to therapy. Wow, it was soul crushing.
Ethan then explained why the interview was so tough for him.
When he sees an opening, he attacks.
Yeah.
He is unlike anyone else I've ever interviewed because he's not willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. He will expose any chinks in your armor.
And that the hardest part to deal with was how the audience reacted.
It didn't feel that bad, but it was the reaction, the audience reaction to it afterwards.
However, for those revisiting the original podcast, Ethan admitting to therapy opened a brand new point of criticism. H3 just said bullying is important. That's rich considering he needed therapy and antidepressants after a simple conversation with Bill Burr. It's ironic that Ethan said sometimes kids need to be bullied when he
I don't read comments. People are mean.
The fact that he went into
throwing
therapy
at his face
is crazy. Although Ethan was preparing for a shot at redemption. Exactly 1 year after the first Bill Burr interview, Ethan made a post on Instagram reading, "It was an honor to be fat shamed today by the great Bill Burr," confirming the two had done another interview. Surprisingly, it was Bill Burr who suggested the redo.
And Bill Burr reached out to us.
Maybe he felt bad. He reached out to us.
And the second one, everyone thought went great. They said it was the redemption episode.
Ethan therefore reframed the first interview as a positive learning experience.
From that episode, though, I've had a lot of growth. I don't take it back. The Bill Burr thing.
You don't take the Bill Burr thing back?
No.
Especially given how it changed his day-to-day life.
Taking antidepressants and going to therapy was like the best choice I ever made for me and my family, and professionally too. I mean, it's made everything better.
As long as it worked out for you. I don't want to judge anybody's mental state because, everybody has their own struggles. So I'll just leave it at that. But it just goes to show. He specifically stated that he didn't even think it was that bad afterwards. It's not until he read the comments that he started to feel like it was bad. That's what sent him into a depressive state. It was looking at all of the criticism. That is like the number one thing that depresses influencers, content creators, is them constantly looking at all of the negative things that people say about them. That is why I made a conscious decision several years ago to distance myself. That's why I had to make my Patreon. I'm like, okay, I want a safe space where I can be more interactive with my followers. I'm very interactive over there, and I talk a lot with, you know, my closest supporters there, because I can't do it on YouTube or even like Instagram. I don't want to expose myself to the toxicity of the internet and how they, you know, want to force their negative opinions on you, because it can really get to you, and people don't understand that. You won't understand it until you have some type of following and you're constantly seeing negative things said about you. Like, it does start to get to you mentally. It gets to a lot of people. So I don't know why he fed into everything that people were saying, because although this was uncomfortable for me to watch, I'm just like, it wasn't that bad so that it should, you know, ruin you mentally and make you like completely depressed for months at a time. Like, that just seemed like a bit much, but he was mainly depressed because of his comments. So that just says a lot. But I'm glad he, you know, later realized that this was a learning experience and he grew from this. But yeah, Bill Burr is just a dick. That's just what he does. That's who he is. And it's like, that's what I would think you would expect if you know anything about him at all. You know he's gonna give you a hard time. So I don't know. I think it was to be expected. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.